Hey everyone, I wanted to take you through a demo that I typically use a lot when I'm trying to research components or get component best practices when we're building out component libraries. And it's a little bit different from some of the normal demos that I would show. So this isn't going to be anything using Claude Code or Cursor or any text editor for that matter. This is something that I like to do when I'm brainstorming or workshopping, and I like to use Claude Desktop for that. And so in this demo, I'm going to show how I use Claude Desktop along with the Figma MCP, as well as the Design Systems Assistant MCP that we created. So on my screen now, you'll see this is a button component that I have selected here. This is within Altitude Southwest Design System. And then over here, I have Claude Desktop. And then I'll show you the connectors that I'm using for this exercise. So GitHub, I'm not going to be using that. Context 7, I might use that towards the end of the demo. And then Design Systems Assistant and the Figma Dev Mode MCP. So we'll start a new chat over here. I'll feed it just kind of a little bit of information. Basically, this is just me saying that, hey, I'm going to run these tests and I'm going to be using the Figma MCP as well as the Design Systems Assistant MCP. And I'd just like to make you aware of that. So now I'm going to start with something generic. I'm going to say something like, what properties does a button component typically have within a design systems component library? And so the expectation for this is to give me something good, but maybe a little less detailed as we would hope. It doesn't really have any contextual awareness on a specific button. It's saying generally, here's a list of properties that you may or may not want to think about when you're creating or designing these buttons. So this is good. I mean, this is pretty standard of what you would think about, visual properties for variant, size, state, obviously some labels, whether or not there's icon positioning on the left and right, some click handlers, width adjustments. So yeah, ARIA labels for accessibility. So this is good. It's pretty specific, a little bit above expectations, I would say, for what I was thinking. So next we'll use the Figma MCP, and then we'll say, what properties does this button component have? Please use the Figma MCP. So now the point with this is that I'm letting Claude Code know that I am expecting to utilize the Figma MCP. In Figma, I have the button component selected, so it should be leveraging the information that it gathers from it, and then so this is the button that exists here. So these properties in this properties panel are the ones that should be lining up with this, which it looks like it does. Icon before, icon after. These are slots. So and it even gives me like some of the token values for this. So now this is like one step deeper. Now Claude Desktop is aware of the components, or at least the component that's currently selected within the Figma file. And then we can take this one step further and say something like, what properties typically should this button have within this component library? Please use the Design Systems Assistant MCP. So this is kind of like where FigmaLint and this process merge. So now I know what I have, what's been created before any MCP's been involved, or Altitude was created before AI, but then also a little bit with AI later on. But I'd love to know, where does it stand against the general design systems knowledge base on best practices when it comes to buttons. So for this particular prompt, I'm asking it to query the Design Systems Assistant. So it's reaching through and searching through all of that knowledge that we have within the Design Systems Assistant. So the expectation is that the response that I'll get back here is going to be highly detailed and very accurate according to the experts who've written the books and articles about buttons and components and properties. So here's a little bit more of a pretty detailed explanation of exactly what to expect when working with the Design Systems Assistant and the Figma MCP, and then general knowledge Claude model information. So it's like a powerhouse when you combine all these things together, because this is amazing. This is very detailed, highly complex, lots of thought that went into this. But you can see how much more detailed it is now that you've tapped that Design Systems Assistant MCP. And it really is great. And this, for a bonus, I could say, like, How would I go about building this button using React? Please use context 7 MCP. Context 7, for anyone who doesn't know, is basically an MCP that has like all documentation for everything. So I specifically said React because I know it's going to have React documentation, and it's probably going to try to actually build this button for me. I don't know if I'll wait for the whole process because Claude likes to take the initiative, and there it is. It's going to start building out the button for me. But let's see what it does. I don't know. It might take a little bit. Sometimes they can get it done pretty quickly. It looks like it's using Tailwind to generate, and it looks like it's going from the version that was recommended from the Design Systems MCP. It's using warning and danger and all of those different states that was suggested in that prompt. And let's see what we're getting. It's adding all of the different comments in there. And then this should, once it's completed, it should pop up with the rendered version of it. So Context 7 is great, whether you're using it for a React project or if you're using it for anything else. It's just an amazing tool that you can have for your development purposes. It looks like it's not going to render it, but this code looks pretty legit. And I'm sure if I copied and pasted this into our component library that it would likely render and look good. So that was just a bonus piece. But anyway, anyone can use this. I'll post the links to the Design Systems Assistant MCP so you could run it locally, or you can create apps that access it. Figma uses Design Systems MCP to return its information, and then a couple of other tools that we use the Design Systems Assistant MCP. But anyway, the sky's the limit with this stuff. So you can have a lot of fun with it. It really does give you a lot more information, and I love that it has, combined with the Figma MCP, the contextual awareness to really help amplify and enhance your both design and development and knowledge process. So anyway, I hope you like it, and we'll chat later. Thanks.